March 26, 1991. I am back at Camp 15 now. It is hard to explain, but in a weird way, I felt strange leaving our little combat zone. Now we are safe and sound, getting everything straightened out. I don't know why I felt it or even if anyone else felt it, but it was there for a little while. What is ahead for us, I have no idea. When we leave, only rumors, so my situation is the same, but in a better location. As for Belinda, I can only hope for the best. All I want is laid for now, but I have mixed emotions about my future. I can remember when we were driving back to Camp 15, just how I felt, knowing that the war was over, that we were going back to Camp 15, and that was the first kind of step in getting back to the United States and starting my life again. I remember vividly pulling up to Camp 15 in our barracks, and the Marine Corps band was playing outside of in the parking lot where when we pulled up. We staged all our vehicles in a row, and we had to unpack everything and unload the gear and find rooms, and it was really kind of a cool experience. Taking all our stuff and going into the barracks, finding rooms, and the sense of joy and happiness that I had and others had at that point, was unmistakable. Everybody had smiles on their face. It wasn't like we were having to do working parties and people were pissed off. It was a time that we were all just happy to be out of the desert and back at Camp 15, 3 square meals a day, gym, some of the creature comforts that we hadn't had in months. And for me, even though we had all these things, I kind of missed being out in the desert and being, on a forward operating base and the solitude. Now, everything was, the reality was hitting home, and I had to deal with some of the things that were weighing on me. The relationship with Belinda and how that would turn out, and having to go home and deal with Ashley. So although it was a time where, I had a lot of happiness and joy and everything was over, I was still troubled in a way. And I want to read one more journal entry for this podcast. And I think it's really talks about, how I felt then and things that I started to learn and understand, but really couldn't conceptualize in a broader sense of my life. March 28th, 1991. The waiting game continues to be played, and I am losing it. Besides that, the NCOIC of the Embark Squad is doing okay. We have been working our asses off, and there isn't much time to do anything but work. My PT is the worst it has been in a while, weightlifting-wise, but I must continue and hope for the killer summer body. Belinda should be back soon, and I can't wait to see her. I just want to be close to someone. I miss the intimacy, the simple things, not just the sex. My lessons in life are still being learned, and I believe they will continue for some time to come, especially on friendship and who you can call a friend, and who really is your friend. For now, George Washington continues to be my best friend. The politics is still being played by Lieutenant Russell, and he's a piece of shit in my humble opinion. My last entry for today, quoted from Doc, "What comes around goes around." I hope this to be true to everyone who has crossed my path. It already happened once. When I wrote this journal entry, I really didn't understand how important it was in my life. And it really makes me wish that I had read the journal throughout my life. And I wish that I had learned the lessons about relationships and friendships and money and finance that I learned in Desert Storm and carried them forward in my entire life. I think they would have helped me significantly. And really, this is why I'm doing the podcast, because these lessons are invaluable. And I hope that people can learn from these, especially when it talks about relationships and friendships. And I have a couple expressions that I use, but the first one is youth wasted on the young. And for me, looking back, reading the war journal, understanding these valuable lessons that I learned not only in Desert Storm, but in other deployments in my life, and not learning from them in a way where I applied them in my life. I think that was my biggest shortfall, that I have so much experience in life lessons, and then I encounter new challenges and experiences and I forget to apply what I've learned. And I'm doing a better job of that now, especially when it comes to relationships. And the relationships that I have now, I still struggle with. There's a part of me that I have a difficult time with sharing my emotions. And I find that I use sex and intimacy to bridge that gap. And oftentimes that's not enough in a relationship. And I struggle with that. But I know why I do that. I did that because of my mother and my relationship with my mother, my father and my relationship with him. And then, the things that happened with Ashley, and the things that I'll talk about that happened with Belinda, and the things that happened in my marriage. And I hope that other people can learn that in relationships you struggle and you have challenges, and you really need to understand what's important in that relationship. Do you love that person? Are you willing to commit to that person? And if so, what are you willing to sacrifice for that? And I spoke with one of my neighbors about my current situation, and she said to me, Jim, my husband and I, we have things that we can't stand about each other. And there's things that I'm not willing to compromise on. But our core beliefs align, and I'm willing to overlook some of the things that I don't enjoy about him, and he's willing to overlook some of the things that he does not enjoy about me for the common goal and for the happiness. And I really wish that, and I hope that I find happiness in my relationship, and I hope that we can overcome some of the challenges, and I hope that other people can overcome the challenges within their relationships. I hope that no one ever has to experience the things that I've experienced. And I hope that the lessons learned from me in my relationships can help you in your relationships. I will say that it was kind of short-sighted of me to believe that George Washington was my best friend. And one of my other mistakes in my life was focusing so much on money, attaining wealth, and buying the houses and going on vacations and having cars. And as I got older, and especially now in my life, I understand that these things aren't that important. It's the experiences. It's the things that you can't buy, that you reflect on, that you feel are important, that you understand are important. And I understand that money creates stress in relationships and creates stress in your own lives. But if you can overcome that and see beyond being either obsessed with money or believing that money will buy you happiness, I think it'll help everyone. So I can't wait to read the next journal entry and tell everyone what happened with Belinda. And it is quite shocking. And I hope that the lessons with regard to friendships and relationships and money resonate with you. And I can't wait to share some of these other life lessons that you'll see that come out in the book and towards the end. And I'm really excited how I'm going to transition from the war journal to the manuscript. And I think it'll be a fun time for everyone. There's some really amazing stories that are in the manuscript, and they're entertaining and fun. But at the end of the day, each entry in the manuscript, each episode has a valuable life lesson that anyone can relate to. So anyway, thank you again for tuning in, and I can't wait to do the next podcast. Really excited, and I hope you enjoy it. And please do me a favor and like it, share it, subscribe to it, send it to friends and family, and hopefully they can get something from it. Thanks again.